So, I'm trying to stick with job genres. Well, maybe not job genres. But I'm just trying to stick with one job at a time to make these videos, because I could jump around for years and make stories, tell you stories. You know what? I'm going to do that right now. I'm hopping over to Hyatt Grand Champions Village Resort Spa and Convention Center. Beautiful, beautiful 4-diamond property. So incredible. I'll tell you a little history about it. Dick Montfort owns the property. Him and his brother own the Colorado Rockies. My first year or two, I think it was my first year working there, Colorado Rockies actually went to the World Series. They did not win. However, we got all the memorabilia, like the World Series ball and all that stuff. When the game was playing, we had all these TVs that we propped up all over the property to watch it, and the bar outside, there was a bar that we used occasionally when we had a huge crowd or an event in, or like the P&B Pariba or Coachella was going on. We'd use that bar, and yeah, it was a very nice bar. It was an outside bar, so it was a little limited, but really beautiful. I love being outside, especially in Palm Springs, and it was cool to see that happening. Dick Montfort is the greatest boss, owner of a property I've ever met. Now, he owned the property. Mr. Sharp lived on property. He was the on-property, hotel manager. And then we had Chef Alon, which was the executive baker. And then we had Chef Mitchum, which was our executive chef. And I mean, when I say executive chef, like if Chef Mitchum told Dick Montfort or told Mr. Sharp like to do something, like it was like, yes, chef. Like it was not even like a question. It was the respect of the executive chef. Even the sous chefs, they were just so nice. I can visualize them. The property was an international, I can't remember what it's called exactly, an international Hyatt. So we had servers from the Philippines. I still am in contact with about 3 out of 4 of them. We had 2 Paris servers. I actually cut their hair for my cosmetology. Like, they were my first haircuts. Took forever. I don't know how they stayed that long. They were so nice. I don't remember their names. I remember their faces, and they were so wonderful. We had 2 Paris managers in training, so they were supervisors to get the experience. And at first, they were very awful to us, and kind of like American attitude, or anti-American attitude. And like at the end, like we got little Eiffel Towers from them, and they were just so wonderful. And they did say, I came to this country thinking a certain way, and my expectations have not only like grown, but have exceeded anything that I ever thought that American culture was like. I will say one thing right now, I may not agree with everything, but Americans work way harder than people from my country. So, I was like, oh, that's cool, thanks. Any compliment, thanks. And they were very nice after. I had 3 Bosnian co-workers. Layla was my co-bartender. They worked the same shifts in the Pianissimo Lounge. And Amir was my co-worker server in the Roadrunner Cafe at the pools. And I can't remember the other one, but he was a banquet worker, I think. And it's just so nice. Amir was kind of whatever, but most of them are. I love Layla. Like, I still talk to her to this day, and she is. She's like, oh, come down and see me. Like, yeah, it'd be so great. I'm like, yes, I will. I want to go back to Palm Springs. Take me back, Palm Springs. Take me back. Warm skies, wonderful weather, so many options, people so friendly. My best friend Meryl and I, started working together. I have a story to say about that. But the sous chefs in training were from Korean. They were all female. And just little things like that. So since Hyatt is amazing, they have these really amazing benefits. So if you were to become a manager, you could transfer to Hyatt Hawaii, which my manager Mitch did. Wonderful life he's led. He went to Denver to go to that Hyatt, and then he went to Hawaii. I don't know where he's at now, but how amazing is that? So I don't know what I was gonna say. So many friends there still, and it was just a wonderful experience. I went from going to TGI Fridays to Hyatt was a little hard because I'm from TGI Fridays. I'm like, hey, yeah, what can I get for you? Oh my gosh, like, sass, whatever. And then I go to this place where it's like you never say no. You can't even have that in your language. Like, if they want something illegal, like, you have to say, like, yes, like, we are because the diamonds. So the difference between star ratings and diamond ratings are stars are amenities. That's it. Like, 5-star property doesn't mean it's great. It just means it has the amenities that people think are great. Diamonds are customer service, like quality of customer service. So you can only get 5, I believe, 5 or 6, and getting 5 is nearly impossible. And at my property, we had 4 diamonds. So I think if there is a 6, I think that there's only 2 in the world, if I remember correctly. Regardless, wonderful, beautiful property. Golf course, celebrity golf course. Every Thanksgiving there's a huge golf competition that happens there. The ESPN, all these people come out. It's broadcasted. The PNB Paribas or whatever the current tennis tournament's called, that happens I think every March in Palm Springs. Coachella, of course, we know that happens in that time too. And then in the summer, in the off season, when it's too hot, the convention center would go on deep discounts, I imagine. And we have like Vespa, Nike, Adidas, Yahoo, and I think Yahoo was the coolest event I've ever worked. This was back in 2007, and cell phones were, what they were, but they weren't nearly on the level that Yahoo was using them on. So they would have these scavenger hunts, and you had to take a video, send it through to get your next clue in 2007. That was pretty amazing at that time. And they were there for a week long. So these conferences weren't just there for a day; they were there for a week, and they had events all day. And so I worked in 3 departments: the outdoor restaurant, the indoor lounge, and the banquets department. They said I had one of the biggest files for clothing. So we would go pick up they would dry clean it every day. So we would get our uniforms every morning. So I had the biggest uniform slot, second biggest. And I was bartending twice, and one of them was for their talent show. And it looked like something you see on America's Got Talent. I was so impressed with what our banquets department could do. And not only that, not only did it look super beautiful and amazing on standards that I didn't even know could be done in that venue, but the talent from Yahoo was amazing. There was a lady getting down on an electric violin. This was like, the Olympics for them, I think. Amazing. And just the level. So the money that's being generated and going into our, work, and then, the food, and then what they're getting out of it is so wonderful. I think I'm going to side my story really quick because I'm getting close to home, and I'm going to tell you this story really quick. So we had all those things I talked to you about, these events. Like Prince, for instance, rented out the whole top floor of our hotel during Coachella. I don't blame him. So that was a thing. Never saw him. Not surprisingly. I could see everybody who was staying at the hotel by looking up names on our phones, and he could tell us, who was staying where. But they would have fake names. So I think Gwen Stefani and Gavin Rosdale were Mr. and Mrs. Ghost, stuff like that. And I don't blame them. and it was just for me, like the Beckhams. They would have a different like name that they would use, but it was just fun for me to see like, ooh, are they staying here? Or, and it was mostly if they did a room charge and we needed to look up the room because they put down the wrong room number. So, really quick, I will talk about how when the Suns and the Nuggets did their outdoor game, and the Suns were staying at the property, and they called me in to work early to work it, and I served a lot of the team mimosas for the outdoor game, and like Charles Barkley was there, and all these other ESPN people. When I walk to the lobby to go into the bar to open it, I see Shaq lying on a chair. And by lying in the chair, it was literal because his head was on the headrest, so like this, and then his torso was just sticking straight out. And I walk up and he looked towards me, and his head is like the size of my torso. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Long story short, very, very long story short, I served the mimosas out on the patio, and they ended up losing the game. To the Nuggets.